Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Robin Runge, and I am the chair of the American Bar Association's Civil Rights and Social Justice section, and I am thrilled to be here with you today for my first chair chat for the section. And I'm also thrilled to be here today because of our guest, who I've gotten to know actually through the American Bar Association, which is a plug for why you should become a member, and have admired her and her work so much. And so it's a thrill to have her join me. Before I introduce her, though, I just want to encourage all of you to see all of our chair chats. They're taking place every other week this year throughout the bar year. So that'll be through next July and into August. You can also find videos of all of our chair chats on the section's YouTube channel. So please look there. And as always, if you want to support these chats in any way, shape, or form, and we need your support, please consider becoming a member of the section. And that information is available to you during this chat and also on our website. So again, the Civil Rights and Social Justice section of the American Bar Association. And our fall business meeting, which we'd love to have you join us at, is both hybrid and is hybrid. So it's in person and virtual. On October 20th, we'll be in person in Washington, D.C. But you are also welcome to join us virtually. And if you would like to join our fall business meeting, we would love to have you. And again, information about how to attend that meeting will be sent to you once you join the section. If you are already a member of the section, awesome. And you will automatically get information about our fall business meeting. All right, so with the business out of the way, I get to the fun part, which is introducing an amazing woman who I get to call a friend and a colleague. She serves as a special advisor for the Civil Rights and Social Justice section, but she's here wearing her day job hat, which is frankly more than a day job. Ainka Sanders Jackson is the founder and executive director of the Selma Center for Nonviolence, Truth and Reconciliation. And I'm going to share a little bit with you about her amazing background. And then I'm going to ask Ainka to share with us just a little bit about the amazing work being done at the center. Importantly, Ainka was previously the Metro Guardian ad litem for the Metro Nashville Public Defender's Office Juvenile Division, where she represented children who were abused and neglected. She has also been a case manager in the foster care system, a teacher, and an adult public defender. Born in Montgomery, Alabama, and raised in Selma, Alabama, she appreciates that every successful legal and legislative movement required a people movement. Therefore, she also helps to organize the community to address racial and economic inequalities. She has presented at numerous conferences and institutions, including on truancy and the school to prison pipeline at the annual Samuel DeWitt Proctor Institute for Child Advocate Ministry, and spoke at the United Nations in Switzerland about economic and racial equity. She's also been featured in Essence magazine for her voter mobilization efforts. She received the first annual In Peace and Freedom Award in 2016 and is a level 3 certified Kenyan nonviolence conflict reconciliation trainer. She was instrumental in Selma being chosen as one of 14 sites for the Kellogg Foundation's Truth, Racial Healing, and Transformation Initiative, and she currently leads Selma's programmatic work on that initiative. She is also the co-creator of the Beyond Divide and Conquer, Unite and Build Racial Equity Training, which explores how the social construct of race was created to divide and conquer, especially for whites and people of color. Using first-person historical narratives, the training questions what's the cost of racism for people of color and white people, and how we can resist, divide, and conquer, and unite and build. She's a special advisor, as I mentioned, for the ABA, both for the ABA Civil Rights and Social Justice section and for the Commission on Homelessness and Poverty. And I know she's very committed to both of these entities. She's also a member of the ABA Diversity and Inclusion Advisory Council, as well as a WK Kellogg Foundation Community Leadership Network Class 2 Fellow. She was also very recently named as an inaugural Obama USA leader, which is equally exciting. So the last thing I just want to say is that, like I said, I have learned already so much from you being your friend. And I'm just thrilled that you're giving us your time this afternoon. And I know everyone is going to come away from this saying, we have to give to the center. We have to support Ainka. And that's honestly one of my goals, as well as having you in this short period of time we have together, teach us more about how to be anti-racist and nonviolent and think about truth and reconciliation in our daily lives. So I just want to say how much I appreciate you as a person and your leadership and your work. And so with that, I just want to have you please just begin with an introduction to the center, you know, its origins, its founding, its mission, and an overview of your amazing work.
Well, first, let me just say I am so thrilled to be here and to have known Robin for so many years and to have become acquainted with your work, and so excited about this year and your leadership with the Civil Rights and Social Justice section. It's going to be amazing. And thank you for this opportunity to share a little bit about the center. I'm really excited, feel blessed to be the founding executive director of the Selma Center for Nonviolence. We were founded in 2015 amidst the 50th anniversary of Bloody Sunday and the Selma to Montgomery March. That weekend when President Obama was here and people were here from all over the country, different parts of the world, the KKK allegedly distributed 30,000 recruitment flyers. We had that on one end on the spectrum of violence. On the other end, that Sunday was a different kind of Bloody Sunday. We had 2 murders that Sunday, 2 more in less than a month in a town that's less than 20,000 people. 2014, our county was the poorest in the state. 2015, we were the most dangerous place to live in Alabama. In 2016, we were the 8th most dangerous place per capita in the whole country. It's insane that this place where nonviolence overcame violence was the 8th most dangerous place per capita in the country. It should not be. We believe that broken relationships have led to broken economies, leading to broken communities, all in need of healing, not in need of fixing, but in need of healing. And so we partner with communities to heal relationships, to heal the economy, and heal communities. Our founders came together and said that we needed to address violence in its many forms, whether it be racial violence, whether it be physical violence, or whether it be economic violence. Often people don't think of poverty as a form of violence, but we believe that anything that dehumanizes others is violent. And so Dr. Bernard Lafayette, who is our board chair and co-founder, who was a leader in the Nashville sit-ins, the Freedom Rides, that picture right there, the Selma movement, and who Dr. King appointed to be over the Poor People's Campaign. In our very first board meeting, he said that there was unfinished business of the civil rights movement and we needed a Selma 2. And so our charge is Selma 2.0, finishing the unfinished business of bridging divides and building the beloved community. And we do that in a variety of ways, from trainings like our racial equity training, which we have one coming up next week that people are encouraged to join. And we have nonviolence training, and Dr. Lafayette comes twice a year to Selma to train trainers. So not just to get the information, but so that people can become trainers. And so we encourage people to just tune in to that. We also do restorative justice training. And we also do many other things that we'll dig into as this time goes forward, so that we can bridge divides and build the beloved community.
Thank you so much for sharing. And it's so clear how incredibly important the work that the center is doing. I think what we realize so often is what we see is it's on the news, right? I was not fortunate enough to be in Selma back in 2015, but I watched the whole thing. I watched, right, the walk across the bridge, right? Senator Lewis is still with us. Like I remember that vividly, but what you're sharing with us, I get, is what's happening in Selma today, right? Like absolutely, that history is linked directly. There's a direct line between what was being recognized that day and is every day on that date. But also, as you said, there were murders that day in that tiny community and the struggles that continue that you were working on. And so to know that the center is really continuing that nonviolent restorative justice focus in these days is a model, I think, for the rest of the country. I'd love to spend a little time specifically talking about the center's approach to community violence intervention. You and I've had a moment to talk about it briefly, but I'm finally excited to see that community-based violence intervention is being really invested in, to be honest, by the private sector, by our government. I'm just aware of it from my work on gender-based violence a little bit, but I'd love to hear about the center's approach and what makes that approach unique.
So yeah, I think it is. I'm so excited that all over the country people are beginning to see that there's a need to deal with violence from a public health standpoint, and that it's a need to look at it holistically, right? It's not enough to tell people to stop doing violence. What is the root cause of the violence? And in nonviolence, we look for root causes, and our program is unique because it is rooted in nonviolence. It's one of about 4 programs all over the country that's rooted in nonviolence. That's a community violence intervention program. And so that's really important because violence is a culture. It's not just an act. And so if you want to create a new culture, again, you can't just stop a culture of violence without replacing it with something else. And so creating a culture of nonviolence is very, very important. So really intentional about creating that culture of nonviolence as we remove a culture of violence. It's also important that our street outreach workers, who are trusted messengers, are from the communities that we are serving, that many of them have lived the life, they have lived experience, and now are doing different things with their life to help their community. And they're not just telling people to stop doing violence, right? They are helping to get with root causes. The Department of Justice studies show that very clearly, right? That poverty, where there's poverty, there's often violence. We often think of urban areas, but urban and rural are about the same, right? We think Black on Black crime, that is not a thing. Excuse me, Black on Black crime is not a thing, right? People do violence where they live, do crime where they live, and we still live in a very segregated country, right? And so where we find it, it often is where there's poverty. And so if you want to address physical violence, if you want to address crime, you have to address poverty. You have to give people not just, I believe, not just living wages, right? But purpose. There is a scripture that says, without a vision, people perish. I heard it said one way: without a vision, people cast off all restraint. There has to be something in that moment that says, I'm not going to retaliate because I have something bigger than this moment. Right? And so helping to connect people with their purpose. Right now, we are starting an innovation center. It's called the City Center, where we will have transformation coaches that can work with our clients to help remove barriers, coach them through barriers that block their dreams from coming true. And because racism and violence are systemic, that means they operate on a personal, cultural, and institutional level. That means that our clients have barriers on a personal, cultural, and institutional levels. And we expect people to just magically get over these barriers, right? Instead, people will help them navigate through those barriers, right? We will invest in them, in their dreams coming true. And so as they're going through classes and trainings, we will give them money towards their dreams. And so this is an expansion of our program. And so really, really excited about the expansion of the employment and educational opportunities of our violence intervention program. We think that this is really going to make a major difference for our community. And that City Center won't just be for those in our violence intervention program, but will be open to others in our community as well. So a lot going on here in Selma, a lot of good things going on here in Selma.
Wow. I have to just say, as I listen to you, I am sure that there are people who are watching this who are going to say, I want that in my community. right? I need that in my community. And the approach that you describe is so critical, starting with the fact that the people who lead this work come from the targeted community, right? And so that may mean you have ex-offenders, right? That may mean you
Absolutely.
have, like you've got to have people who are peers and trusted in the community. I hear you saying that in order for this to be effective, right? Because who's going to listen to somebody who hasn't been through anything remotely like what they've experienced? And so I love that that's a critical piece of what you're doing, is that the people who are leading this work are from that community, are not coming in from, I don't care how well intentioned you are, but if you come in from somewhere else, it's much more difficult, I think, to be effective. And then, as you said, really lifting up understanding root causes. We have to sit in that space and understand. In order to develop solutions, you have to understand the causes. And as you said, one of them is poverty, but then there are unique root causes in each community, right? That are environmental, right? Are cultural. I also grew up in a rural community, right? Rural communities are they're different, right? But they have, they're like generational causes, right? As you said, structural institutional racism is clearly, right, a cause. But poverty is, and then there are other, like I said, other factors that have been present for generations. And so I really appreciate that focus. Instead of jumping to solution, it's like, wait a minute. What are the root causes? And then how do we design? And that's what you've done, designed a program to address those root causes and shift that culture, right? So it's not enough to say, we're anti-violence, we're anti-racist, but like, what's there instead? Like, what is and you describing that, right? Like, as a barrier is if you can't see that purpose or that meaning beyond where you are. And even if you reject what you've experienced up until this point, right? Doesn't mean that you can see or understand or touch or feel what that alternative culture and experience is. And so, like I said, when we get off this, I'm going to ask you for information, because I'm hoping that you are regularly speaking in spaces about this model and how other communities can bring this model right to their homes, because we know that this is a nationwide challenge, right? Community violence, and understanding the need for the community to lead that intervention, I think, is growing, as you described, but understanding it and then implementing it and designing it are two totally different things. And I think that's the heaviest lift in so many ways. The other thing that I'd love to have you talk a little bit about is your program working with the police or not at all with the police? Or because that's another thing that's really come up in these community violence intervention models, is this I think it's just different approaches, tensions, right? Some people feel very strongly that if the criminal system, notice I dropped out the word justice, if the criminal system is involved in any way, shape, or form, it so influences the program, right, that it can't be as effective. Other people are like, well, how can you function effectively, right, completely outside of the criminal system? So I'd love to hear your center's approach and your approach to that.
Yeah, so there are two general sort of extremes when it comes to police and CVI programs, community violence intervention programs. One that works extremely closely with the police, and so they sort of intervene with those who are doing violence and sort of give them ultimatums together, right? So it's very hand in hand. Then there's another set that refuse to work with police at all. We are neither of those two extremes. The first line of our mission is to partner with institutions. We realize that we cannot do this alone. And we believe in the African proverb, if you want to go fast, go alone, but if you want to go far, go together. And so because of that, we partner with many institutions, including the police. But it is very clear, we never cross the yellow line. So the police are there to do a particular thing, right? We are not there to do that thing. We are not there to investigate or we're there to intervene to prevent violence and to do prevention work. Very, very clear. And because of that, it's very important that the community and our clients trust us, right? And because of that, we will never give information to the police. The police will give us information so that we can intervene to stop violence and we can do prevention work, but we will never give information to the police. And so it is a very fine line trying to walk with that, so to make sure that our clients know and the community knows that we are trusted messengers, right? And yet we have found that this is the best opportunity to make sure that that all the needs are met, and that we are creating culture shifts no matter where we go, including with our partners.
I really appreciate that last thing you just said, which is, the police are present, right? And they need to be on this journey, and if you completely don't work with them at all, how are they going to learn about these other models of intervention? So, well, that's amazing.
And Robin,
again,
there's one other thing that I neglected to mention. Our program works with those who have potentially offended and those who have potentially been offended against, which is also very unique. We have a victim survivor portion of our work too. And that can be difficult, right? Because it's like, well, how do you do both? Well, many times, people are both all in one. And if we want to stop the cycle of violence, then we have to make sure everyone's needs are met. Again, it goes back to getting to the root cause,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I'm so glad you added that, because that was an aha moment for me, having been in the anti-gender-based violence field for longer than I care to confess. But it's really only in the last 2 to 3 years, through listening to survivors, that that aha moment really clicked for me, is that we have too often developed our systems so that when you come in, you are tagged at that moment in time, right? Either you're a victim or you're an offender, right? And the problem, though, is that most of the folks we're working with and learning from, right, are both at some point in their lives. And I want to be clear, going back to your really great language, when we say they're victims and offenders, they could be of individual crimes or institutional, right, oppressions, or cultural, and that these things are often happening at the same time. And so once this clicked for me, I was like, oh, that's amazing, right? Because in my work, we saw all these survivors of gender-based violence, primarily women, who themselves were ex-offenders, right? But if they were both of those things and Black, then we treated, then we weren't helping them in the, it's just, we're doing this little piece, right? Like, in this moment, you are this. But, and so I just want to lift up what you're saying there and how challenging it is once you recognize that, right? How important it is in your program, as you just described. And I think, again, there's a lot of learning we could all do from this. How do you do it then? Right? How do you make sure that your community violence intervention program is providing support to both survivors and victims and offenders in that moment, right? Because it's a moment, is the point. And they're in the same community too. And that anyway, so I just love this. You could tell I could talk with you forever about this and learn from you. And I really hope that that we'll have an opportunity for people to learn more. We're going to share the link to the Selma Center and make sure that people can reach out to you if they want to learn more about your model. I think I just want to finish this amazing conversation by looking forward and hearing a little bit from you about, as you continue this incredibly important work, as you told us at the outset, is linked, right, to the march from and Bloody Sunday. Now, it was 50 years ago in 2015 when the center was founded in 2016. Now here we are, 7 years later, and you're continuing to do this incredibly difficult work. I'd love to hear a little bit about the challenges that you and the center face as you can continue doing this work, and hope that you see?
So I'll say a couple of things. I think challenges is that in places that have given as much as Selma has given to the world, and people know what we gave to the world in 1965. What people often don't know is that we actually helped to change the world in 1865 too. In 1865, the last major battle of the Civil War happened in Selma. And because Selma was such a stronghold for the Confederacy, when the Battle of Selma occurred, the war was literally over within a week. Because so much of the artillery, so much of the uniforms, so much was being produced here. And so when you've given so much, you also get payback a lot. Like this is a thing that happens in history, very intentional payback. And so there's been a lot of divestment from Selma. And because people see Selma as a symbol and not as a city, people don't think about the needs of Selma, they think about the bridge.
Right.
So
I know the bridge, right, and the history,
yeah.
but they're like, but no, you're saying like, we're here now. Yeah.
We're here now, right? People come to Selma, they take a picture at the bridge, they use our infrastructure, but they don't invest in it. And so these things are very, very problematic when you are having other pushback from others. I'll tell you two examples really quickly. One, our Economic Development Authority actually has a practice called backfilling, where they keep wages low on purpose so that people can keep their good workers, right? So this is stuff that we're up against. A former Southern Poverty Law Center employee said that people study Selma to see how a small minority of white people can control a majority of Black people as our country becomes more and more brown, right? Because people are scared and they're figuring out how to maintain control, right? So Selma is a model, but we are working for Selma to be a model of the beloved community. So that when people come here, they are not just coming for our history, they're coming for our healing. They are saying, how did you go from the 8th most dangerous place per capita in the country to this? How did you go from failing schools to this? How did you go from these broken relationships to this? So that they can learn and study and take those models back to their communities and change them and for the good of their community. So that's our goal, for Selma to be a model of the beloved community. And so we changed the world in 1865, we changed the world in 1965, but we are not waiting till 2065. We are working so hard right now, and we encourage others to help us join in for Selma 2.0. You don't want to miss this movement.
Oh, thank you so much, Ainka. And that is awesome, because you built into your answer to my question, how do we help, right? How do we support this? How do we make sure that we are supporting Selma today and the great work going on? And I love, people can read more about Selma 2.0 on your website, and you just explained it wonderfully. Again, I'm so thankful that you agreed to be my first chair chat, because you are amazing and the work you're doing is amazing. And I so appreciate what you say. People come because it's a symbol to Selma, and they see the bridge and they take a picture, and they maybe go to, and then they leave. And it's like, no. There is so much here. And you are a bright and shining example of that, and a model for so many of us around the country who live in small communities struggling, right, to make them safer for our families, and lift ourselves out of poverty. So I just appreciate you so much, and look forward to seeing you at our next in-person meeting. And take care of yourself. You are doing amazing work, and it's so important that you take care of yourself, because we need you for the long haul, my dear. You've already been in this work for a very long time, but we can't afford to lose our leaders. So please continue to take care of yourself and continue to lead us on how to live better lives. So that's it for our chair chat, folks. I look forward to having you join us Our next chair chat is in a couple of weeks, so come back to this space and join us then. I'm Robin Runge, and this is Ainka Sanders from the Selma Center for Nonviolence, Truth, and Reconciliation. Thank you so much.